Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Merry Christmas week. Hello. All right, I think we're getting all connected here. Here we
Y'all
go.
doing? Yeah.
Oh, we're excited to see you, Robin. You're here. How did last week? You were having tornado warnings when we were on last week, and I've been
Yikes.
thinking of you. Um,
From
Hopefully, you didn't experience anything too drastic out
from
there.
tornado warnings to what looks like might be freezing or very cold weather in Mississippi. Yikes.
It's getting frigid here too,
Hey,
I've got to
Sue.
say.
It's
Um,
getting frigid just a little.
it's getting frigid, yeah. Um, it's been
All
about 2
good.
degrees every morning,
Yeah. Yep.
and it's supposed to get colder. I think tomorrow morning we're supposed to wake up to negative 13, is what they're saying right
I
now.
negative 17 was what I saw.
Oh gosh,
So with
that's
a
got to be the
high of
coldest we've
negative
seen.
one. The coldest I've registered is here is negative 15.
Okay, so we
Since
have
we've been
seen
here.
that.
We've been here 8 years, but I've not seen it stay in the negatives. Where we've had a day where it went negative and then didn't come out of the negatives at least. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's cold, just
it's
straight out
cold.
cold.
It's just cold.
Though Daryl may say otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's up in Canada there.
All the Norwegians and Canadians and everybody else here
Yeah,
are laughing at us.
wimpy Americans, fuck up.
Absolutely. So, Merry Christmas. Today, we're just hanging out and chit chatting and answering any questions that you guys have while we're here together and just kind of hanging out right before the
Yeah, kind
Christmas
of
holiday.
starting to wind down and take a little Christmas break and
Yep.
take a week off and
Next week, we are
relax.
totally off. No coffee with Carolyn or Java with Josh. And it's going to just be really quiet around the homesteading family side because everybody's taking a week off. So, you guys feel free to keep chit chatting away in the community and sharing, but there may be a lack of moderator and admin presence there for the week while we all rest up. But hey, are you guys excited? Because it's only a few weeks into the new year when we're going to start the brand new pantry challenge. We've been putting the finishing
Very cool.
touches on some of the documents and some of the pieces for it here. And I'm really excited about it. We are going to be cleaning and organizing pantries and filling them up and stocking them and making things and all sorts of really great stuff. Really kick off the 23 year with a pantry that's in order and ready to work for us because I think we're going to want that this year.
I think so. You're gonna want it in the years after this year.
Yeah, I think it feels like a good time to be getting that pantry nice and settled.
Yeah, there's Daryl there. Negative 11 right now was negative 20 with a wind chill of negative 40. Yeah, okay, we're warm. We're cozy.
We can't complain too much. Good. Let's see. Sue's asking, has your Starlink been for you? Any pros or cons to mention? I'm moving soon to Southern California and will have Starlink.
Starlink has been great from the perspective of satellite internet in general. It's actually pretty darn good in the perspective of a lot of even what do you call it, hardlined internets. It's better than we have an office in town, and it's better than that even at times.
That's saying a lot.
Oh, it's
because
150 to 200,
that's a
megs, a lot at
Yeah.
times. So it's satellite. It has its issues. It does go down. Most of our issues this year have been with our web network we put in to get it throughout the house. It's a big house, and like being wireless down here was a challenge for a long time. And so we've had challenges with that, but that's not been Starlink. Starlink has been pretty good. It's satellite. It does blip here and there. But we relied on HughesNet for, off and on for almost a couple decades. And
it's a nice departure.
It is far, far beyond better and less expensive with no data caps. So, Starlink has made our life much easier and able to stay much more connected. And being that we're in a digital business and video streaming and whatnot, helped a lot. Love it.
Callie's saying it's supposed to hit -60 with a wind chill tonight at her place.
Where's Callie?
Callie, yeah,
where are you, Callie? Now I'm questioning where. I feel like I could have made a guess, and now I'm clueless.
I think she's in the Arctic somewhere. That sounds so cold. Oh my goodness. Oh, in Nebraska, northwest Nebraska. Okay, so you're on the prairie. You're getting that cold. That's a lot of wind chill. Yeah, that's cool.
I think we're actually going to be -30, -40 with the wind chill.
They're saying -35 with the wind chill here. So it's oh wow. Cold. That's northern Wisconsin. Heather woke up to -7.
Yeah.
It's just cold. Yeah. There's a lot of us are experiencing a lot of cold. My big concern is that because we had such a long fall, a lot of the trees were still green and in leaf when we hit the first freezes. And the first freezes were hard.
And some of the trees are still green.
Yes.
The leaves got frozen green, and they're still green. I'm with you. I'm afraid some of the trees are not going to make it.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't get a chance to let the moisture all settle. I wanted to ask Sue's question, answer the rest of your question before it goes away. Oh. Hey, Sue, your phone will work great on Starlink. We're able to use our cell phones for calls if you have that service with your provider. So just so you know, that's been another thing. Is our landline? We have a landline, and it actually is terrible.
It really is. You can't hear anything on it.
So our cell phone through satellite is way, way better. That's what we use 90% of the time.
Zero cellular reception here. Yeah. So the only way we can use the cell phones for calling is through the Wi-Fi calling through Starlink, and it works really well.
You'll be able to text, you'll be able to make calls to people through that if you have it for your provider. Verizon definitely has it.
So what are you guys doing for this Christmas? Do you guys have plans? You have family coming over, or what are you doing? We are actually having a pretty quiet Christmas, and everybody's pretty happy about it.
Normal. Yeah, our Christmases are Thanksgiving is usually so big and busy.
Yeah.
Christmases are always wonderful, but they're a little closer, just us and the kids, and cozy.
Yeah.
And nice.
Yeah, we always like that. We're going to do a big dinner with a Christmas goose, and enjoy games on Christmas night. Pictionary, Josh's favorite.
There's a big story behind that. It actually is a lot of fun. There's just I got in this habit of being afraid of it when we dated, and going to her house to play Pictionary was scary, her parents' house. But it is actually a whole lot of fun. We have a very
nice family that gets along really well, but then all the year's aggression would tend to come out over the Pictionary game. I think it scarred Josh a few times. When the calm, quiet family is then all of a sudden standing on the furniture yelling at each other over Pictionary. It was like, whoa, this isn't cool.
All right, a little intense here.
But we have wonderful Pictionary games, and now all the kids like it too. So we drag you into it, and you always get into it.
We have fun every time. It is good fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is always fun.
As long as nobody takes themselves too seriously.
Exactly. That's the key to most things in life, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, so we're doing that. We start off Christmas morning with, this year it's a little bit different because it's on a Sunday, and we actually have a church service on Sunday, on Christmas morning this year. And so we always start with one of the Amish breakfast casseroles. That recipe is out in the breakfast casserole recipe booklet for you guys. You can find over in the membership dashboard. It's somewhere. We can find a link for you somewhere. And so we make that up the day before. We also make a big pan of cinnamon rolls and usually a fruit salad. And so we can just pop the cinnamon rolls and the Amish breakfast casserole into the oven first thing in the morning. And then usually we would go, while that's cooking, we would go read the Christmas story all together. And then we do a really lower key Christmas. We've shared that with you guys. We do kind of that everybody gives one other person a gift. So we take turns watching everybody give their gift. So everybody receives their gift. And then we just enjoy the day, do some cooking for Christmas dinner.
Last year we did skiing and snowboarding on the road behind the quads because
there was so much
snow. A lot of snow and the snowplows weren't running. That was good fun.
So we just play for the day and enjoy hanging out with each other, and then have a great Christmas meal and cook the goose, the Christmas goose.
Yeah.
And then enjoy games for the evening.
Good
So
stuff.
that's kind of our plan this year, punctuated by a great service at church first thing in the morning.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it is a Sunday Christmas this year.
Yeah.
So
let's see.
I wanted to bring out, part of it's gone, but Megan there,
Well, we
you
can
can't
pull it up.
see. Megan, not that one, but above. That's a follow-up. Megan's Pyrex blew up in the oven.
Oh, yes.
I'm so glad it was in the oven and not after you took it out or something. That is scary. But she was asking for some bakeware follow-up, and I was thinking some of the stuff you've been researching and doing, and if you had any thoughts on that.
What have I been researching? I'm sorry.
Some of the cast iron and cooking and baking, and some of the enamel.
Oh, okay, I got it.
was where I was going with that.
I wasn't following your thought.
Yeah.
We actually, Megan, had this happen in the kitchen about 5 weeks ago ourselves.
We were gone.
We weren't here, but one of the kids took a casserole pan, a glass Pyrex type pan, out of the oven, and she set it down on the stove to let it cool. And then she went to light the kettle, which was behind it, and accidentally lit the stove top with the Pyrex on it and walked away and didn't realize that it was lit. And she came back and she realized it and she turned it off. But it was like 20 minutes later, because the smell had gotten strong in the kitchen, they opened the
window to cool things down.
Cold breeze blowing on it, and it exploded and it went flying, shards all over the place. So totally sympathize with the cleanup job there, because that's glass everywhere. So I'm sorry for that. But you may want to consider something like an enamel cast iron. That can be a great way to go. It's expensive, it's heavy, but it doesn't do that. And it lasts for an extremely, extremely long time. But the Pyrexes can do that if there's any sort of defect in them when you put them in the oven. So that can be a real problem. Okay. All right, let's...
Terry Anderson says, when we played Pictionary, my daughter and I were forbidden to be on a team together.
Oh, dear. So we're not the only ones with Pictionary. Let's see. We've got a lot. You guys are doing a lot of fun things, and I'd love to read them all, but there's a lot of them. So I'm kind of trying to read them quickly here.
There's one about the goose.
Do we have a question? There we go. We have a question.
Yeah.
There we go. Sue asks, how is goose the same or different than chicken or duck? It has a lot of fat.
Good fat.
A lot of fat.
Yummy flavor.
It is absolutely delicious, but it will make your roasted goose a little soggy if you don't prick holes in the skin. And then you actually have to like turn it over while you're cooking so it can drain off. So usually start it breast side down and you cook it breast side down, and then you flip it back. There is a recipe for a roasted goose. The recipe that we use is in the holiday, this month's magazine that came out. So you can go grab your copy of the In the Kitchen magazine, and there is my recipe right there that we tend to use. It's really good, but it's really well served by a like cranberry sauce or an orange sauce.
That's an orange, like marmalade compote, which isn't even the right description, but something like that.
Something with a little sourness and tartness and sweetness. Yeah. It really comes through, and it's extremely good. The other fun thing about geese is that they can be raised almost exclusively on pasture. Not exclusively, but
depends on where you live. We feed them a little in the winter. They stay out in pasture all season. We don't feed them anything. And then they come in about December into the barn, and they hang out and kind of throw them a little scratch and eat with the chickens. But yeah, they're great grazers and very low maintenance.
They really are. If you have
just
the right
takes more
setup
of them.
For them.
Yeah.
So let's see. Daryl says, when your daughter gets her horse, you will be able to go for sleigh rides in a one-horse open sleigh.
Hey, very cool.
We would have to do a lot of
like it.
sleigh rides in a one-horse open sleigh to get the whole family a sleigh
Yeah.
ride. So
Hence why I am suggesting to her that we like everything to have multifunction. So we're not really looking for just a pleasure horse. So I've suggested to her, and she's open to the idea of a more drafty type horse that she can ride. And some of those are out there. I'm not coming to mind right now, though. There's one we're thinking of, but so definitely we can pull a few more people was my thought there.
there we go.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. We do have a buggy. We have an Amish buggy that I actually grew up driving. My parents had a horse that pulled a buggy, and so it was just for fun.
Yeah, we got to ride that when we dated.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Yeah, we did.
And the countryside.
So we have that, but we do not have a sleigh. So instead of snowboarding up and down the road when the plow doesn't come,
you know
we're
what?
gonna go
If we're
sleighing.
gonna keep getting winters like this, which are fine with me, I'd rather have more snow and the cold and the wet and slush. That would be a lot of fun. I could get into that.
Oh, look at this. Kelly had her baby.
Yay.
Congratulations. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm seeing condolences in the comments. I did not see the original comment. It went by too fast for me. I think it's Larissa. So I'm sorry to hear whatever has happened. I'll be able to go back and find that comment in a few minutes. But I'm sorry, and we will definitely all be keeping you in our prayers.
Yep. And if you heard that, something in the kitchen upstairs mildly crashed.
Yeah. Let's see. Are we referring to a domestic goose? Our geese we shot were never fatty. Yes, these are our domestic geese. We raise American buff geese here on the property. And I think this year we're going to get a few more. We're going to get another pair because they've been incredibly resilient when it comes to raising themselves. And they just go out, they set a clutch of eggs, they raise them completely by themselves. They eat grass almost the whole time. They love hanging out at our pond. A lot of times they're not even fenced.
You can even use them for protection for your pastured chickens.
Right.
Justin Rhodes does this. A few people do it, but I saw it at his place this summer and it was great. And those geese, they'll because like here, the eagles will take our ducks.
They will.
They're not around so much during chicken season, but nonetheless, there are issues, and those geese are great protectors.
Yeah.
So you can put them in with your chickens if your chickens are out on pasture and the geese are eating the grass and a little bit of grain. And it can be a real good system.
The American buff geese are not as large as some of the meat varieties, like the Chinese geese that are out there, the white ones, but they're much nicer. So they're not as prone to attack. I have been goosed multiple times in my life, and a goose coming after you is actually a very painful, scary thing in the wrong circumstance. And these geese have never really gone after anything. They'll definitely protect their babies.
They're very protective.
Yeah.
And they're not like pet geese. They're not like you're handling them.
No.
They definitely are independent, but they're extremely protective, which makes them such good predator protection for the other small birds.
Yeah. Okay, Sue is working on plans to green the ranch. I like that. She says she's furiously learning about growing veg and animals in a semi-arid environment. That's a good thing to do. It's tricky, but boy, it can be done. We have seen growing through different places in Mexico in very arid areas, old orchards or old vineyards. And watermelon farms, pastures where they're completely dry farming the vines and the watermelons. And the big key to it has been spacing. They space them out at something that would look ridiculous to us, to most of us who are used to seeing an average vineyard, you know.
Well, and that's the old world they weren't doing applying permaculture principles, say some terracing or some swaling, where you're maximizing the catching water when you do have rain events, because those environments tend to have fewer and heavier rain events. So Hopefully it sounds like you're on the trail, Sue, to some permaculture design that can help you either catch water so that you can distribute it in the non-rainy season and hold it in tanks, or just even shape the land to slow the water movement down on the soil surface and get it to soak in. And that can do a lot.
There we go. JJ had a sleigh when she grew up.
Oh, cool.
They put a hot soapstone at our feet to keep them toasty. It was always so lovely. That sounds great.
Like
we would have to do that in this weather because
Yeah.
we would not be at all warm. You hear those stories about them putting the big like buffalo hides on people and, you know, really covering up to go somewhere on the sleigh, and you totally understand why.
I want a buffalo hide.
That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? Rebecca says her Sebastopol geese sort of protect our chickens from the hawks. They scream at them, so I think that helps. They kind of scream at everything. The guineas do that too. They tend to be very, very noisy. Sue, this is I was bit in the back by a goose at 5. I never forgot. I had a bad experience when I was I think I was 11 or 12, and I had a goose hit me with its wing in the back of my neck, and I almost passed out in the pen with these geese attacking me, and I never forgot that either. That was one of the scarier animal moments that I've had in my life. You don't think a poultry, a bird could be quite so attacking and scary, but they're not nice.
Very aggressive.
Which is why when we decided to get geese again, I specifically looked for the lesser aggressive geese and found these American buff geese. And we've now had them, I don't know, 7 years?
Yeah, a long time.
Something like that. And they've just been wonderful. I'm really, really happy with them. They're a little harder to find. They're not as popular. I think it's Metzler Farms. Yeah, hopefully I'm saying that right, that we have gotten them from in the past and are hoping to get them from again this spring. But you have to get on the wait list like right now if you want some. And then they let you know when they're available, and you can, grab them real fast because they only have so many available every year. Let's see.
Right there.
Which one are you
Right up from where you were. Yep. Nope. Down,
this
down,
one?
down. Nope. That one's a question.
This one? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
I want to make my very first batch of homemade soap this Christmas week. Can I use a hand blender instead of an inversion blender, America?
You can. I've used all sorts of different types of blender. Anything is faster than a spoon, which I've done also. Seriously, a spoon, you're looking at aggressively stirring for over an hour. So that the hand blender would work well. Some hand blenders have an immersion blender attachment, so you might just look and see if yours has that. Something about that immersion blender movement, it seems to really speed it up. So like you've probably seen in the videos, we're talking 30 to 90 seconds with that immersion blender most of the time versus seriously 60 minutes plus by hand. So anything you can do to speed it up. I've used the KitchenAids and turn those on. You just have to make sure you're not using the brushed aluminum paddles that they have. Make sure it's coated in, what is it they coat it in? It's like, I guess it's like a silicone that it's coated in, the paddles sometimes, or stainless steel. They have both of those options. Using the stainless steel bowl for the KitchenAid. I've done that. I've done it in my Bosch mixer, and that has worked out well. I can't recall actually using the hand beaters, but we have definitely, that's pretty much what the KitchenAid is. So yes, go for it.
I like Erica's little avatar right there.
It looks tropical.
It looks tropical and a beautiful sunset or sunrise.
It's not negative 17 degrees.
Yeah, can I go there?
Okay. Oh, look at this one. JJ says 1 year when it snowed here as a kid, Robin, I keep mixing you guys up. I am sorry. My brothers took the hood off my dad's truck and tied the horses to it.
There you go. All right.
It works pretty good.
That's some good homesteading fun.
We we haven't seen it, but there's an event called Skijoring. Is that what it's called?
Mhm,
Daryl
skijoring.
and some of these of you guys who live in these
Yep.
very cold
They
places
used to do a lot of
probably
it
know
up here in
it.
North Idaho. Yeah, not so much now,
But it's where you have a rider on a horse and they
Pulling.
are pulling a skier. I guess you could be a
Mhm.
snowboarder or a sledder, or
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah,
if
it
it's
started
technical,
skiing, but yeah. Yep.
behind them. And usually there's, you know, jumps and obstacle courses and things like that attached to it. And it sounds like a lot of fun. So I think you can come up with all sorts of fun things to do.
Wow, Sue, you are moving to our old stomping grounds, close to there anyways, not quite LA, but we certainly know the Angeles National Forest and Southern California. That's interesting.
There we go. Daryl says, yes, that's it. Skijoring, it's a big thing north of you in Alberta.
Yeah, very cool.
Okay. You guys, do you have any
Megan.
questions for us? You're seeing a question.
Megan, yeah, up. Right.
This one right
Yeah,
here. Okay.
Question.
Megan says, speaking of soap and cold, my 9-month-old's face is getting chapped from his drool. Any suggestions for a soap to use and a cream? I would use, if you can, I don't know about the soap so much, use something gentle, but I would use a lotion bar of some sort with some beeswax. And the reason for that is that adds a little bit of moisture, like it won't let that drool then keep hitting. It will actually seal it in a little bit. You can make it yourself. You pretty much just make like a salve, a hard salve, and turn it into a bar. Or you can go get one, Renee at Made
No,
On.
sorry, yeah, I got to.
Madeon.com has wonderful lotion bars. And she actually even has them in like big fat chapsticks. So it's easy to apply to something like a baby's face. And it just will seal that moisture away from the skin. So that's a really good way to go. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, Sue's following up with her move thought. She says she's in a panic. I love cold weather areas and grew up in Michigan, but this move was necessary. So at 68, here I go. Yeah, it's a big change, but you might appreciate a little less cold.
Well, it sounds like you've got a good situation if you got to be in Southern California. I mean, there are some beautiful places in Southern California. We didn't leave because we didn't like the terrain or the weather.
Yeah.
And you've got some beautiful places up there. That stream's certainly a big bonus. Be careful how you use that stream and who you tell what you do, though. Growing up in the mountains of Southern California and watching it go from rural country to an environmental infested legal craziness, and we still have good friends there that deal with this all the time. So just be wise about how you use that stream and how you talk about it so that you can utilize it without getting people bugging you. But that is, I mean, it's neat. You got a great place to go, and
there are phenomenal people in Southern California
wonderful
too. So
well, we came from there.
Yeah, you're a fabulous individual, right? So as much as we were happy to leave some of the politics of the area, there are incredible people, wonderful families there, and lots of really neat resources that you may not be able to get other places. So lots of different varying terrains and environments, which means you have a lot of resources of people growing all different types of things.
Yeah.
So it's really fun. We were in a CSA at one point that gave us fresh macadamia nuts in Southern California. So, you know, you've got the mountains right there next to sea level, next to, you know, desert and all these different areas. So just enjoy getting to explore all of the different resources in the area. Fresh dates. Ooh, fresh dates. That's something we just don't get here in North Idaho.
Avocados. I miss having avocados ready and cheap.
Yeah.
Love avocados.
Yeah, good citrus fruit. So there's a lot of good things. So we're painting the pretty picture for you to help you feel happy about your move. Okay.
More there if you want them. NorCal.
Let's see. Question here. I'm making a batch of apple cider vinegar. Will it survive if I put it in the fridge while we're out of town? Or will I need to chalk it up to a loss and start over? Apple cider vinegar is incredibly hardy. I don't know that you even need to put it in the fridge. You can probably just stick it on your pantry shelf and it will be fine. But how old is it at this point would be my question. Like, what stage are you at? But usually when I have made it, I stick it on the shelf and I leave it there until it's time to use it in a cool environment. So I think you're going to be fine. It's just one of the hardiest ferments out there. Vinegar is an extremely hardy ferment. It just does its thing.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What happens if it freezes? Still good when it thaws?
I would say it's still good when it thaws. You just have to thaw it out before you go to use it.
Got
It might not be as active. So if you were in a really early stage of fermentation, you might slow it way down.
Well, this is purchased ACV that we purchased in 5-gallon buckets for the animals.
Oh yeah, no, it's already apple cider vinegar. It's already
so
fully
should be good, but it's all frozen solid.
Frozen.
I went to put some into the cow water trough a couple days ago and was like, nope, not using this right now.
That would
so I
make
haul
sense.
it down to the house.
Everything else is frozen too.
Several people
it's
asking
about a month old. Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just let it go.
Love the olives, Sue. Absolutely miss those. Good olive oil. But several people are asking about the root cellar.
At this point, it's not coming along.
Carolyn would say not fast enough.
I've been saying that since before it started.
Yeah. Well,
so, you know.
It wasn't supposed to start till next year. So technically, I'm ahead of the game.
There you go.
We were doing a retaining wall and realized that it was going to be very difficult to get to the location with an excavator.
Right.
If we finished the retaining wall the way we were going to and didn't do the cellar walls, at least. So you guys probably know that. We got the walls in. And so next step is the roof, which is going to be out of logs, which we're going to cut and mill here on the property. So yeah, it's not coming at all. My goal is to at least get the roof on it next year. I'd love to get the front wall on it. Yeah, I'd love to get it operational, as would Carolyn. So we'll see. I'm hesitant to set that as a goal. But we'll start cutting trees probably in late winter to get ready for that.
Yeah,
it's going to take a bit. That's a big cellar, and I need
now,
like 18-foot logs, and I probably need 40 of them.
Yeah.
So that's a big project in and of itself.
Right now, at the moment, everything is under snow. So we're kind of at winter break for all sorts of projects. So it's not supposed to be moving forward at this point.
Right.
That'll be sometime definitely after everything thaws
when
out
we can
next
get
year.
to it. Cutting trees in the snow when the snow starts to thaw is actually can be a good way to go before it gets muddy. So we may start that in late winter if depending on how the weather goes.
Yeah. Rebecca asks, what do you do with the extra kombucha SCOBY or the ones that seem to be dying off? I wonder if it would be safe to give to the chickens. Yes, we give it to the animals all the time. I have tried making kombucha SCOBY gummies, and those were good, but they had a lot of sugar. And so I was kind of like, I don't know that I'm doing anything helpful here for anybody's health, but you know, in terms of giving somebody candy, it's probably healthier candy than giving them Skittles or something like that. So you just have to put it in the scale with candy because it's pretty much doing a sugared. Yeah. I have sold them too and just listed them on local Facebook and just gone ahead and sold them for, $5 a piece or something. It's a great way to go ahead and share the love. With people who might be interested in getting started. It's a much better deal than they'd get if they had to buy it off the internet.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to go. And it, puts a little bit of change in our jar for being able to have fun or do something around the household. So
yeah.
Let's see.
This
one
Sue's
here.
back up.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Sue, we can. I can.
Can you read it out loud?
Sorry.
Some people listen.
Yep. Slow down.
Okay.
Sue Magyari, can you use round logs for the roof like Sepp Holzer does to save steps? Yes, you can. And actually, this core design is certainly inspired by Sepp Holzer. For us, though, we've got two things. I've got a large span. And so I think that I'm actually going to mill two sides of the log to get a few more logs in just for strength because of the scale of this. The other side is part of the scale and what these logs need to do is carry a floor above it because we were probably going to put our garden drying shed. We want a building to bring in our produce between the garden and the house, to dry the onions, the garlic, to do various things, processing, so that stuff can go straight to the cellar instead of into the kitchen and not have reverse steps. So that's got to be engineered a little bit more. And so with that, I'll probably mill those logs a little bit to get a tighter fit. Also, there's some insulation factors. I don't know if you guys came to the event I did with Rob over at Verge Permaculture. Some of you, I think, attended that, but I think we're going to get him involved to help us design. He helped with some of the thoughts on that.
I feel like we got the replay for that. And
we did. It should be in the membership.
Yeah.
And we did some beginning discussions. Really, the point of that is we did a rough draft. We didn't design this specifically. Rob's an engineer, and you can check out Verge Permaculture, but he took us through building a root cellar and the principles. He really gets into the details for your site more in depth. And so he gave us, if you guys want to check that out, it's great knowledge just to have if you're thinking about building a cellar. But I may get him involved again, and we might get a little more fine-tuned because we want to do a spring box and maybe some other a little more sophisticated strategies for this. But yeah, good idea.
Now, this has been a conversation that's been going on here. We all want you to do a class on hunting and how to process your game. It's growing. It's being developed here, including the cooking part. But definitely people were hoping that we could next year at least film and talk through the processing of a larger animal, whether it's sheep or it's a deer or something like that. Because it's okay. We do very rough homestead butchery ourselves. It's not going to turn out like perfect, like some butcher shop or anything like that. But I think people are interested in seeing that.
I think we can do that. There's a few plans that segues with some plans for school traditional skills. And so we can probably segue some of that for homesteading family as well. And then, you know, maybe that access, and definitely I don't know if I'd be the guy to do a hunting class. I could probably take out the GoPro and try to catch some footage and just some real basics, and then take through just handling a deer, bringing it in on the homestead. So let's keep that in the discussion.
We'll
I definitely see some possibilities there.
Do you and the kids make New Year's resolutions? No. I'll just put it that way. I guess I'm kind of a skeptic on those things.
I think there's nothing wrong with them, and they can be valuable for some person, you know, but I think the psychology of it, I was just reading on this on somebody, and just the psychology of just getting this habit of you do them, they fall away, they fail. And it makes me think of the biblical principle of let your yes be yes and your no be no, and kind of just decide what you need to do in your life, when you need to do it, and do it. And don't try to do too many things at once, so that the thing that you decide you need to do, you can be successful at it. So I think we approach life a little bit more that way. You know, I got to say though, you know, it's a end of the year, it's a time of reflection and the homestead, and that tends to lead to personal life. And so for me personally, do I go into the year thinking, I need to consider this, I need to make some shifts? Yeah, I think so. But I avoid the resolutions and say, okay, where can I put that in to start and implement it in my life?
Well, and I think both of us tend to do exactly what you're saying. Is it's not that we don't set resolutions ever. Yeah. Because there are moments where we go, you know, I've just got to make a change, and I'm kind of resolving to make a change moving forward here, whether, you know, need to exercise more, need to change something about a diet, need to eat less sugar, things like that. But they don't necessarily hinge on New Year's.
Yeah, I think that's that kind of, if you need to make that change, make the change, or plan to make the change whenever it is you're realizing you need to make that change. You know, and you might need to look at your life and go, well, I can't do this right now. It's going to take me weeks, or what, you know, whatever it is, and implement that change, and don't rely on New Year's to do that. That's our philosophy anyways, for what it's worth. Quite a few questions in there.
Quite a few questions. All right. Callie says, I asked for organ meat for the first time with our half beef, but they didn't label any of them. Oh, that was not nice of them. I can tell the tongue, but what other organs would I have gotten, and how do I tell them apart? My guess is that you would have gotten liver and heart.
At least, yeah. And those are pretty obvious between the two of them.
You could have gotten
which
kidneys.
could be confusing to the liver for some people.
So a kidney is going to look like the shape of a bean. If you picture like a great northern bean or a white bean, that's a kidney. That's what a kidney looks
They
like.
probably won't have cut it up unless you ask them to. The liver's big, and they may have cut the liver up just to package it. They might have cut it into a few chunks, and the liver's got this real squishy meat. It's got a lot of little holes in it if it was cut up.
And it's a very dark red.
Very dark red, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then the heart kind of just looks like you'd picture a heart to look like anything you've seen from a human heart, only bigger. And it has, you know, different ventricles and things in it. And the heart's great. That's a wonderful place to start.
Hey, homesteading culinary tip. Take the heart, slice it very thin, 1/4 to 1/8 inch, and just fry it up in some butter and salt and pepper or whatever seasonings you like. That is excellent. Everybody in the family will like that. We generally do that when we process an animal first thing.
Yeah, same
raw
day.
Before we don't even freeze it. And that's just something that all the kids love. The super special treat.
Let's see. Erica's saying, can I please share the kombucha gummy recipe? I would love to give my kids those instead of regular candy. I did not have a recipe. What I did though, is I just pretty much made a simple syrup and then chopped up the kombucha, and I let the simple syrup cool down. So that's equal parts water and sugar. I let it cool down because I didn't want to ruin the probiotic benefit of the kombucha SCOBY. And then I just soaked it in them. And then for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, soaked the kombucha chunks in the simple syrup, and then pulled them out and set them on a dehydrator sheet and let them dry on really low temperature until they were dry. And the kids absolutely loved them. They are very good. But that's the way I did it. So I don't really have a recipe for you. You could add some flavoring if you wanted, but kombucha is pretty, you know, it's kind of lemony in that. So it's almost like having a lemon candy. But just make sure that the little chunks are nice and small. Otherwise, it takes a little too long to dry them out.
Yeah.
So
cool.
They were good.
This is a good question here from Sue. Is it worth it to do a root cellar in a hill in Southern California? Does it get cool enough to be worth it? And so the general answer is yes. There are some amazing strategies out there, Sue. Carolyn and I, if you remember it was kind of the cold house. It wasn't quite a cellar, but up in the ranch up at Lonnie's place.
Oh yeah.
In Bridgeport, which very, very hot. July, being there for 4th of July, they could keep ice in it in the summertime. And so it's all about strategy. It's all about mass and position and place. So it's something that you would want to do a lot of work, a lot of design work on. And you may need a few extra strategies, and it may not be, you know, super beneficial in the summer. You're not going to have a lot of cool air to draw from, depending on where you're at. But, you know, there's a lot of details there. So how far into it do you want to go? But yes, it's doable. They kept ice in the Mideast hundreds of years ago in places. So there's lots of things that are real possible.
Let's see. I'm just going to give you a quick preview. Sue would love the class on game. Alyssa Marie says learning to hunt is on our list for next year. So she'd love to hear what you can share.
Do some basics. Just
yes, I second the game course. So just
all right. Well,
I'm nudging
so
for
she's
you.
the planner at this point, because I am doing so much with school traditional skills. They've kind of told her, tell me what you want to do. We'll plan it. You plan it, and I'll show up and make it happen. So if that fits into our schedule, I am happy to do some.
We'll get that.
I don't know if it would be a course, like
probably wouldn't be like a full
it's something
class,
we could do some videos on, and we could maybe do some specials inside the membership. We could probably do a few things like that. Again, I'm not the expert there, but certainly we get the job done.
Yeah. Nikki, yes, the dogs absolutely love dehydrated liver. If you've ever bought the dog treats, like if you've gone on a dog obedience class, they'll recommend the liver, the dried liver. Those things are incredibly expensive for dog treats, and you can just make your own. We do them. I think the ones you buy at the store are freeze dried, but we were doing them back when we didn't have freeze dryers. when there weren't freeze dryers for home, and we just dehydrated them, and the dogs absolutely love it.
Something we should think more of, again, with the freeze dryers. And I was just going to say, you can even ask, a lot of people don't want the organ meats from your custom butcher. So, I don't want to necessarily eat somebody else's animal's organ meat, but I wouldn't mind giving it to the dogs.
Yeah.
So, that could be a good source for dog food. Take the trouble to make it.
Callie, it would be very normal for you only to get a little bit of liver, even if you ask for the organ meat. It can be phenomenally hard to get all the body parts back from a butcher. They're just not geared up for it. Most people aren't interested in getting the organ meats. They're not interested in getting all the bones. And so they're really not geared up. You have to kind of go in pretty strongly saying, I want tongue, I want heart, I want kidney, I want liver, and give very clear directions, and then cross your fingers that you'll get it back. So getting liver is probably what you got.
And it comes in two. It's kind of got two,
if they
lobes.
give you the whole thing.
So if you got two, that's probably what you got. Hey, another one though, when you're talking about getting extra meat that people don't think to ask for, is the cheek meat off of a beef.
Yes.
There's actually a bit of it there. There can be a few pounds. It's a specialty down in Baja when we go down there, and very, very good. It's tender and very rich. So ask for that.
Terry asked, do you make your own dog food? I've been thinking about freeze drying mine. We don't quite make our own dog food yet, but what we do is we bring in bones from the butcher to augment the dog's regular dry dog food. And so they get a nice big meaty bone almost every day. And they definitely eat that first, and then, just get the rest of what they need from the dog food bowl. So most people, it's amazing how many people don't want their bones. So we actually have a couple friends who produce meat, beef, and we've kind of said, we'll buy whatever you're not, nobody wants from you that you can get from the butcher. And so that's been a really good step for us.
You sure could. And the only reason we don't is bandwidth. It just hasn't made it, it doesn't have the high enough priority at this point in life to put the systems in place to make enough of it. So the bones supplement real well, but it's something you can do and should, if you've got access to the resources and the time to do it. Yeah. I could see having a freeze dryer just dedicated to that.
Yeah.
But it definitely, that's a whole,
and then you need
whole process you got to put into place. Right.
And
So it's, you just, where's the best place for your time and energy? And for us, we haven't decided that's it yet.
Yeah. Megan is talking, just one more here, is talking about having a difficult time knowing what the different cuts are. My husband is learning to and processed a couple deer, but I'm not sure what some of the parts are, if that makes sense. This is, this is very normal when you start doing your own processing at home. And I think the real big key to this is, how do I want to say, like, relaxing about it and just realizing it's meat and it's edible and you can cook it all different ways. There's obviously ways that are going to make it taste better and make it more tender or less dry or things like that based on the cut that you have. But I guess for me, this was really instrumental in getting past the butchering ideas in the household, because when you go to the grocery store and you go get meat, you go name your cut, right? That's how you buy it. And that's how, recipes say, go get, chuck roast, go get hop round, go get this, go get that. And then all of a sudden you're cutting up a deer and there are no labels stuck on it. So I think this was just a place for me that as soon as I learned to relax and be like, it's me, I grab something that looks like it's going to be good for taco meat if I want tacos. And it's very inexact, but it is very freeing. And you do learn to get comfortable with that in your cooking. Sometimes it comes down to, I grab a couple of packages from the freezer if I'm not exactly sure what they are, and I open it up and go, okay, it looks like I could turn this into, XYZ. And I cook that way. So I've had years of doing that.
Well, and we approach venison very simply. And so just a couple of quick terms. You've got your front legs and shoulders. So we just generally refer to those as shoulders. And we usually keep them together and roast them.
Yeah.
We take the back legs, which are just your rear legs. They're rear roasts. We cut off the lower bone. There's maybe a little meat on there. We put into stew or grind. And so you have your rear legs. Then you have your back strap. And that's just that main muscle running down between the front up to the neck. And then you kind of have your neck, and you've got little pieces here and there that goes to grind, and maybe depending on the size of the deer, a little bit of loin on the inside of the rib cage. That's your tenderloin, or your fillet. They're kind of small, but that's about it for a deer. So, you can talk about them how you want. That's how myself and the guys that I know, we generally talk about a deer, and that helps you a little bit without having to worry about thinking about, do I have a chuck roast, or do I have this type of steak or whatever? We don't really talk about it that way with the deer, though you could cut them up that way, but we don't have a butcher shop, so we don't.
Yeah.
And like Carolyn said, it's freeing if you can just be okay with that and then learn how to work with those cuts to cook them.
Daryl and Sue just pretty much said the exact same thing in the comments. And I think that's just one of these hurdles we have to get over of like, it doesn't look the same as it does at the grocery store. So yeah. I find this really fascinating though. JJ sharing this. Years ago, there was a freeze put on raising prices on certain cuts of meat. In response, butchers created new cuts with new names to get around the oppression. This would very much explain why sometimes I'm like, how many names are there for the same thing? That explains it. Thank you. I'm learning, definitely.
Yeah. They're also learning to take new cuts and upsell them.
Yeah.
Tender cuts that aren't of like a fillet, but they're doing that with some of the brisket and the flank and different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're very interesting.
Good. All right, you guys, we better move on with the day, but it's, as always, so much fun to get to hang out with you. And, I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas. Again, we're not going to see you next week. We are not going to be on here live, but Josh will be doing a Java with Josh on the first week of January.
What do y'all want to talk about? Let us know. Drop us a line somewhere.
I have it scheduled as you just answering questions. So if you have gardening,
so have
outside,
your questions ready, planning, hunting questions. I'm thinking a lot about the new year, and just like we've said here, getting a little strategic and what are we going to do and planning and stuff like that. So, but let us know. And while we're wishing you a Merry Christmas, we just want to say how thankful we are for all of you. You are a huge part of our life, and thank you for making all of this possible and for being on this journey with you. We love you guys.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful Christmas and New Year, and we will see you in 2023.
See you then.
Goodbye.
Bye.